Hi guys, we're back again today with a continuation to United Healthcare CEO brought in public. So yeah, let's continue. I think this is now getting into his life. We heard a little bit about his family background, so I think he's just gonna pick up from there. So let's get it.
It appears that if that is true, Luigi does not care for money.
Wow.
And there's a lot of money in his family. They donated over $1 million to the local hospital, Greater Baltimore Medical Center. The unit for high risk obstetrics has the Mangione family name on there. They have the Mangione Family Foundation that supports nonprofit healthcare facilities. They run a real estate healthcare connected empire with nursing homes. Even more fascinating is Luigi's immediate cousin is Nino Mangione. He's a Maryland state delegate known to be quite conservative. He describes himself as, quote, conservative Republican fighting for freedom and the future of Maryland. He actually had to cancel his political fundraisers because of Luigi's arrest. He states, because of the nature of this terrible condition involving my cousin, I do not believe it is appropriate to hold fundraising events scheduled this Thursday. I want to thank you for your thoughts and prayers and support. My family and I are heartbroken and ask that you remember the family of Mr. Thompson in your prayers. But like I said, it appears that Luigi has not been in contact with this very wealthy family because they reported him missing a month ago, and they state that they haven't spoken to him in months. And I think once people start digging into Luigi, getting his Twitter, Goodreads, Instagram, the question is, why did he kill Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare? One of the last quotes that he ever liked on Goodreads is from the Dr. Seuss book, The Lorax. It reads, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Some netizens have joked that the Lorax radicalized Luigi, but is that really why? The shell casings on the bullet used to kill Brian Thompson, there were 3 left behind at the crime scene, and there were 3 words etched into each of the bullets. One bullet says delay, the next one says deny, and the last one, interestingly, says depose. Depose means to remove someone from office or power, to dethrone someone.
Oh my God, I didn't know it was like 3 separate ones.
Yes.
I thought it was all engraved on one of them.
3 separate ones, 3 shots fired.
That's even more like...
A lot of thought,
Yeah.
a lot of planning. Now, it seems to be a reference to the book called Delay, Deny, Defend, which is a book written about how insurance companies get away with denying care and denying claims. Literally, they will deny and delay the payment of justified claims, deny payment altogether, and then eventually they'll defend their actions by forcing customers to enter in these very pricey litigations that they know that they're not capable of doing. One netizen writes online, when I delivered my son 16 years ago, I had 2 different insurance plans, one through my employer and another through my husband's employer. Both of them were allegedly United. 2 plans, right? So better coverage, right? Wrong. United Healthcare spent months arguing with itself over which of our plans would cover what medical expenses, during which time the hospital were still billing me.
Excuse me, United. Let me do this your job easy, okay? You cover the cesarean, let's say, and you cover the medicine. End of debate. Like, what the fudge are they arguing?
Cover
Excuses.
what medical expenses, during which time the hospital were still billing me, sending me to collections, etc. My son then got sick at 7 weeks, another hospitalization, another round of arguing which plan was going to pay what. Long story short, $15,000 in medical bills within 7 weeks, 2 insurance plans, bankruptcy due to medical bills that United Healthcare wouldn't cover because it couldn't figure out which of their 2 policies was going to pay for it. Bankruptcy, 2 insurance plans, gotta love United Healthcare. Delay, deny, defend. Another writes, my mom is currently dealing with United Healthcare, saying she has almost reached her lifetime max and they will not cover anything after she reaches it. She has maybe a month or 2 left. She has stage 4 cancer and there was no evidence of disease, but she gets treatment every 3 weeks to keep the cancer away. My parents have tried everything. Marketplace insurance does not cover her drugs. She tried to get a job just for insurance, but hasn't found anything. Now we just found out that her cancer is back and she is starting new chemo. Her doctor's advice was for my mom to divorce my dad so she could qualify for Medicaid. What kind of country do we live in? What kind of company would just allow someone to die for profit? Her chemo is $30,000 a month. No one has that kind of money. She cannot get a job now because she's sick from chemo. We're hoping to figure out what to do with her. It's the last thing someone who is fighting for her life should be dealing with. Delay, deny, defend.
That is crazy because I do a lot of reactions, right? And this is not my only channel. So I react to European healthcare. I think it was Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken. And if you are going through cancer, you still will have your job. Like if you have like those type of like illness or disease, you will still have your job first and foremost. So let's say you're gonna go for chemo for like, let's say 6 months. Your job will still be there when you get back, if you get back, and they're still gonna pay you. And the insurance in Netherlands is crazy. It's almost like free. So you're getting paid, you still have a job to go to, and then it's almost free, your like treatment. Well, if only the rest of the world was like that. I mean, there's a lot of other countries in Europe that do that. But if the rest of the world was like that, and yes, their taxes are so high. I think the highest, I'm not Stephanie was saying like America is the highest, but I don't know. I don't know if they are the highest, or it was Sweden or Finland was the highest, or was it Switzerland? But anyways, but then they get proper medical attention in return. So regardless of how high your freaking insurance is, it's still beneficial. Oh my god. Oh, can we all move to freaking Europe?
Her life should be dealing with. Delay, deny, defend. Medical divorce is actually quite common. There was a heartbreaking story a few years ago, and this is just one story that gains a lot of traction, but this happens on a daily basis, where a woman was engaged to marry the love of her life. She has brain cancer. They had this beautiful wedding ceremony, but they could not get married legally because she doesn't want to pass on medical debt to her husband. Another netizen writes, "My 52-year-old mom felt like her cancer was returning and was growing. United Healthcare denied a scan my mom needed. They were delaying it, saying she needed to wait 8 more weeks because it hadn't been long enough since her last scan. At any rate, without a scan, chemotherapy cannot be restarted or any sort of radiation treatment. We could not afford to pay thousands out of pocket. My mom was barely working. Her coworkers donated their own sick hours at work so that she could keep her insurance, because if you get fired from your job, you lose your insurance. We were barely scraping by. Things were stressful and money was already so tight, and after some ER visits and multiple medical issues, the time finally came. The time United said we could get a scan. The scans. The cancer had already spread to my mom's brain. But now it was too late for anything to be done. We were told that they would have needed to start treatment weeks ago to prevent it from getting to that point, and there was pretty much nothing that could be done now. She was the kindest and most caring person. She cared about everyone she met. One day, after we bought groceries with most of the funds we currently had left, I was driving home and she rolled down her window and handed a man without a home $20 and gave him a big smile. $20 was a lot for us at that time. She looked at me and said he needed it more than us and that we would be okay. I smiled and I nodded back. United robbed us of more time with my mom. Maybe she wouldn't have lived another year with the scan and chemo when she first noticed returning symptoms, or maybe she would have lived a few years. We don't really know, but without the scan, without the chemo, without the radiation, they were actively taking coins out of the meter of her life instead of just refusing to feed it. United Healthcare profits not just by denying claims, but also largely profits by delaying services. They hold on to their money and save thousands of dollars on my mom and people like her by essentially letting her die more quickly and not having to pay for additional chemotherapy or for radiation, extra doctor's visits, and fewer overall hospital visits. They're a criminal enterprise operating under our noses by lining the pockets of lawmakers, forcing smaller healthcare facilities and independent pharmacies to close, limiting access to healthcare locations to millions of Americans, especially in smaller towns, delaying life-saving services, all while profiting billions and more every single year. That CEO died a far too quick and comfortable death in comparison to my mother and people like her who are suffering every day and barely get by financially, physically, and mentally, while modern-day mobsters toy with their lives for profit. When that shooter's story finally comes out, it's going to resonate with many of us. I've always thought myself a very impartial juror, very open to facts and fair punishment and treatment and playing by the rules. But I don't think I could, in good conscience, find this person guilty in a court of law. You may say, who are you to say he should pay with his life? I would respond with, who are you to say that my mom and innumerable other Americans should have paid with her life and by suffering just to simply line his pockets with a few extra bucks? I'm an atheist. However, it's days like this that I wish there was a hell, because it's people like the United Healthcare CEO who deserve to spend an eternity suffering for what they've done to others for their own gain. He and United Healthcare are not out here starving on the streets, stealing a loaf of bread to eat. They are dragons amassing wealth while raising our cities. Delay, deny, defend. And sure, if...
And also, like, I think one of my teachers in school, she's very, like, into, I don't know what to call it, but she was teaching us, like, I think it was economics, and then she was telling us that, do you know who owns this, that, and the third, like those fast food chains? And then we were like, who, like, we know who owns them by, like, the person to put in front. But obviously the people who have a share or have shares in this fast food, or like even like packaged food, all that, are people who own the pharmaceutical industry, because they make you sick and then obviously you need to treat it. So all these things that make us sick is owned by them, and then we go to them for treatments as well. So they make us sick so that we get their product, which is their medicine or their hospitals and their, like, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, I guess that's the world that
while
we live
raising
in.
our cities. Delay, deny, defend. And sure, if someone is heartless, they could blame the customers somehow by stating, well, it can't be everyone. But how is it that pretty much every division that United Healthcare touches, other than the shareholders and people making millions off the company, there's at least some people with horrendous life-altering experiences, even their own employees. One alleged United Healthcare employee states that when she got a call from a customer, a client, technically, who's in tears, they were telling her that they were gonna die because the medication that they need to live is $1,500 a month. They don't have that. And United, the people that they pay to be insured, won't cover it. She says her superiors told her the only appropriate answer for someone like that is to tell them, contact the drug manufacturer and see if they'll give you a manufacturer's coupon. The same alleged former United employee states that a man had called in once crying, stating that his doctor told him that he needs to get this very specific medication, but it's not covered. She Googles it, sees that there's a brand name version and a generic version. United will cover the generic version, not the brand name. And instead of thousands of dollars a month that he cannot pay, it's going to be $20, $30 a month, and United has to cover the rest. She helps him out, gets it covered through United. He's so moved, so touched by her generosity of doing the human thing, that as a way to show his gratitude, he starts sending flowers to their office to show her managers that she's stellar at her job, she should get rewarded for it, she should be promoted, and it's supposed to be this beautiful story with a beautiful end, right? She is reprimanded. Her manager tells her that she should never do that again, on the grounds that the insurance rejected the claim for the medication. She went behind the insurer's back to find an alternative. We said no, basically. Don't go behind our backs and make us pay. She says, can you imagine paying into insurance and paying into a company that literally is designed to make sure you don't get the care you need, and then watching your kids, your parents, your grandparents, your spouse be unalived because you cannot afford these astronomical amounts that are not regulated at all? That's enough to make a person snap. I hate to say this, but this is what the employee says. Former. If you play devilish games, you're gonna get devilish prizes. Another alleged former employee of United says, the call that broke me was a woman calling in about a bill she received. Her 6-year-old just died from a brain tumor, and they were planning the funeral when they got notice that they were being sued by a doctor because United Healthcare hadn't paid a nearly $1.4 million claim. I couldn't really help her. Our call center was just for checking if something was in-network or covered, but I could see her claim. One person remarks that the bullet casings having words engraved on them is, quote, that's what we call poetic justice. For a while, there were speculations that Luigi Mangione had United Healthcare and had encountered some of these insurance nightmare stories like everybody else. But it's been stated that he was never a customer of United. However, netizens are still putting the dots together. According to his Goodreads, in 2022, Luigi starts reading books about chronic back pain. The first is Crooked, Outwitting the Back Pain Industry and Getting on the Road to Recovery, and Back Mechanic by Dr. Stuart McGill. Also, Why We Get Sick, the hidden epidemic at the root of most chronic diseases and how to fight it. His X account header is an x-ray photo of someone's back that shows 4 giant screws in the lower spine, which appears to be from a back surgery that he might have had to treat a condition called spondylolisthesis, which is when one of the vertebrae in your spine slips out of position. It starts putting pressure on the vertebra below it. So your spine is made up of 33 stacked bones called the vertebrae. Your vertebrae are linked together, but they can move depending on how you move, change your posture. But if you have spondy, is what they call it, one of your vertebrae moves more than it should and slides out of its usual spot. It's now, the real pain happens when that puts pressure or even pinches a nerve in your back.
Can it be like repositioned?
Through surgery, which is rough.
Oh, that's why there's the
Screws to position it. And once you screw it in place, I mean, you lose a good part of normal mobility. I mean, I guess it depends per person, but it's pretty rough. A lot of doctors don't recommend surgery because it's not going to be fun afterwards either. One doctor states the condition can be very painful if the nerves are pinched. Putting weight on your spine can hurt a lot. It's an excruciating type of pain, and it doesn't go away with conservative management. Medications aren't going to help. Injections aren't going to help. It can lead to high impact chronic pain. This is chronic pain that will impact daily acts, schoolwork, daily self-care, work. These people are more likely to struggle with mood, with one's ability to get restorative sleep, to manage the distress and anxiety that can naturally occur with pain. That's going to be disrupted. You can't even sleep. Another doctor states, for someone with spondy, physical therapy can be excruciating and won't necessarily help. It's sort of like a torture. Luigi had briefly done a remote stay in Hawaii as he was remote working. He was staying in this dorm-like structure with a bunch of people that were working remote, and the landlord of that structure says, when I first interviewed him, because they all have to be interviewed, they want everyone to get along, it's like a co-living situation. When he moved in, I remember he said he had a back issue and he was hoping to get stronger in Hawaii. Luigi allegedly told the landlord that he had chronic pain from a pinched nerve from a misaligned spine. Spondy. The landlord states he said his lower vertebrae were almost like a half-inch off, and I think it pinched a nerve. Sometimes he would be doing well, and other times not. I mean, it was pretty traumatic and difficult that he just took one basic surfing lesson that beginners take. He was completely bedridden for a week.
Oh, this is just from a little lesson that he took?
No, so he had it already, and the doctors told him that he could be mobile.
Oh, okay.
And he should be mobile. So he takes one basic surfing lesson and he becomes bedridden for a week. So it seems that it exacerbated it. He went on to say that Luigi, quote, he knew that dating and being physically intimate with his back condition was not possible. I remember him telling me that, and my heart just breaks. He said he felt sad for Luigi because Luigi is this young, smart, accomplished, upbeat engineer. He seems very much into being active, fitness. He loved hiking, surfing, all of these things, and he can't even do that anymore. But he does remember that Luigi told him he was going to get spinal surgery in 2023, so he texted Luigi. This is after he moves out of Hawaii. Luigi just responds, long story, when asked about how the surgery went. No more text messages after that. No matter how often he tried to contact Luigi, he would text him, yo, you awake? Where in the world are you? Nothing. Radio silence. Netizens were quick to find a Reddit account called Mr_Cactus that seems to belong to Luigi. He apparently liked to post about travel gear, Pokemon Go, spinal pain. Everything adds up. Age, college, what he was interested in. In one forum about Spondy, Luigi allegedly writes, I first aggravated my Spondy 1.5 years ago after a surfing incident. My back and hips locked up after that accident. And my whole lumbar and hips have been out of whack since then. Something is probably putting pressure on the sacral nerves that innervate the groin and butt area. He responds, yeah, it was when I was surfing about 1.5 years ago. Basically, the extension movement destabilized my spondy. A few weeks later, I slipped on a piece of paper and my right glute locked and right leg shut down for a week. I couldn't support any weight on it. Eventually calmed down, but the stability was compromised and the glute keeps thighs in place, I guess. He warns other Redditors, if there is anything tight in your hips, maybe check it out with a PT. Not to scare you, but, you know, my numbness has become constant. Numbness in his body.
Oh.
Wow.
In another comment, he explains how he wants to get surgery because, likely he's in a lot of pain and cannot even be mobile. When there's a Redditor talking about how their surgeon won't operate on their back, he comments, keep trying different surgeons. If your back is broken and it's unlivable, age has nothing to do with it. Good surgeons understand this and will operate you based on your symptoms and anatomy. Tell them that you're unable to work. Do your job. We live in a capitalist society. I found that the medical industry responds to these key words, I can't work, it's impacting my ability to work and make a living, far more urgently than you describing unbearable pain and how it's impacting your quality of life. Or plan Z, fake a foot drop or piss yourself. This is the absolute nuclear option, but there comes a point where it's just ridiculous that people won't operate on your broken spine. If this account is really Luigi, he's pretty consistent and positive with uplifting people that are suffering similar symptoms as him while acknowledging how debilitating they are. Because again, keep in mind, this is technically an anonymous account. He never releases his name, if this is him. He never says, hi, these are my friends, please look at my friends. Nobody knows it's him writing these comments. And when you see anonymous accounts on the internet, more likely than not, they are some of the most malicious people alive. But he writes to others, stuck being sedentary when you're an energetic person and used to being so active is one of the worst aspects of this. But there are still ways to keep your mind and body active while you heal. I spent a lot of time doing yoga, being mindful to avoid certain positions, which was very different for me than my typical routine of weightlifting and martial arts. But I actually have learned a lot and didn't mind the transition at all. Basically, there are still options. Using your body however it is currently capable will not only be critical for your mental health, but also helpful in your speedy recovery. There are always some activities that fall between your normal routine and nothing, even if it initially feels like it's the only option is being sedentary. Hope that helps. Sorry you have to go through this. In another forum about sleep and discipline, it reads, why do I feel like vomiting sensations throughout the day if my sleep the previous night is not good? Luigi allegedly comments, this has been happening to me since high school. I'm currently in college. Any night I would sleep less than 6 hours, which is a conscious choice, not unexpected poor sleep, I would feel nauseous. Is that unusual? I thought it was normal, to be honest. This is where it gets very interesting. A lot of people with chronic back pain have commented that it's not just your physical that declines. When the pain is so bad, you lose cognitive focus. It's not like you can lay in bed and still have a whole wonderful world in your mind or be able to be on the internet and be a part of society in some way. He comments on a post about brain fog, and he writes, significant cognitive decline. Any thoughts? That's what the original poster writes. Luigi allegedly responds, I have been experiencing symptoms of brain fog since I was 15. I'm also a very critical, logical thinker like yourself. My symptoms were very minor at first, and I was able to excel in high school, but the symptoms worsened exponentially last year after my fraternity's very tame Hell Week. I simply wasn't able to recover from a week of disturbed sleep. It's absolutely brutal to have such a life-halting issue, especially since the issue itself wears down the critical and logical thinking mind you'd usually use to tackle the problem. The people around you probably won't understand your symptoms. They certainly didn't for me. As each test came back negative, the doctors won't have a clue what's going on. I'm sure you already know most of this, but basically, I just want to say that you're not alone. Stay strong. If you ever want to talk, I'm sure there's a lot we can learn from each other's stories. He further comments that it could have been when he contracted Lyme disease when he was 13 years old.
Oh.
That's when he started noticing the cognitive decline. He says, after my symptoms severely worsened last year, I underwent several rounds of blood tests. 2 of them included Lyme. I'm not sure the specific test, but the results were negative. Do you think this definitely rules out Lyme, or is it possible to still have Lyme given negative results? Okay, the brain fog thing, I see a lot of people making fun of it on the internet, which I think is crazy. I know brain fog sounds like a silly little issue. I've personally dealt with long bouts of brain fog. You don't even recognize yourself. You want to pull out your hair. It impacts even the way that you see yourself, your whole identity, self-identity even. It was quite unexpected and unusually painful. He writes, working through the brain fog to get my degree has certainly been tougher than anything I ever thought I could handle. Granted, I went from almost entirely A's at a tough school to just passing my classes and not understanding anything, putting in probably twice the amount of work. There were quite a few times that I considered dropping out, but ultimately I decided that dropping would be much worse. The days when I don't have any work seems to be the worst. Struggling to understand lectures and homework is difficult, but having the same level of difficulty when trying to watch YouTube or read an interesting book is even worse. I can't even enjoy my free time. I think it's important to hold on to everything for as long as we can. Every year I've improved as a person, learning new things, meeting new people, etc. Last year, I ceased to tackle anything new and simply held on to what I had built up over the years. Soon it might be impossible to even pass my classes. At that point, it seems like the no-knowledge lifestyle is the only option, as you say. I also used excuses for why my grades started tanking. I used to tell my friends that GPA doesn't matter much for computer science, so I don't care. By hiding the symptoms, though, I stopped myself from getting advice from them, which has definitely turned out to be helpful. He's saying it's embarrassing, but just tell your friends, don't make excuses, because they could help you. He says, at the same time, hiding your symptoms only makes it harder for people to believe you once you finally reveal it to them. Last year was when it all started. I used to play chess daily against my roommate. I used it as a metric to see how the brain fog was improving. Eventually, I just stopped, since I could never, ever remember any strategy. He would use the same moves against me day after day, and I just wouldn't remember them.
So is this like a separate medical issue that he's having, or is it related to his spine?
According to his alleged Reddit account, it could be from Lyme disease. Netizens have argued both. Those with Lyme say, yeah, that sounds exactly what I'm going through. But also people with chronic back pain say, this is exactly what I'm going through. And the fact that he could potentially have both could have made it exponentially worse.
And then there's also, at the same time, no help. Or at least it seems like he wasn't even satisfied, or something probably went wrong with the surgery, right?
Yeah.
When he say long story, it's not a good story.
No. In another Reddit...
Yeah, because if something is okay, you normally say everything is okay or I'm fine, it was great, right? Even if you don't feel like talking, you would give like a okay response that went well. Or you just say it went well. But if it's not good, that's the only time you're like, I'll tell you when I see you, or long story, or you don't necessarily say it went bad or it went horrible. You just say, I'll tell you when I meet you, or I'll call you and explain or tell you, or long story, right? If it's not good.
It's not a good story.
No. In another Reddit thread, he admits to having visual snow, which is a neurological condition that a person experiences persistent visual disturbances. It's like seeing static over everything, just tiny flickering dots everywhere. It feels like you're stuck in a snow globe, visual snow. It's considered a pretty rare condition, but one netizen says, the brain fog and visual snow can be symptoms of the back condition he has. The pain can be so unimaginable that it leads to that.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah. So people easier language line. A learning method you in that language. There's no stone.com.
Okay.
Small Business Saturday just passed, and it reminded me of
Oopsie.
Is the and the way now to. One netizen who claims they have the same condition as Luigi, they write, I would often end my days whimpering on the floor because I couldn't keep going that day. I almost passed out in an airport bathroom, then realized I had been peeing on my shoe. It's hard to think when you're in that much pain. If your brain starts to shut down from the pain, it can affect your vision and give you visual snow. But it seems like, according to the Reddit comments that he's allegedly leaving, he seems optimistic about getting this surgery that he allegedly had in 2023. Prior to the surgery, he comments, the doctors, a bunch of them decided no operation is required for me anytime soon, but basically recommended I avoid any and all physical activities outside swimming and physiotherapy. Bizarre yet common advice from sedentary people who don't live life to the fullest. In my opinion, if your spine is broken and unstable to the point where you can't run, do you want to be walking around with it? What are you going to do? Wait until you take a bad fall and the instability causes some real nerve damage and you need surgery? The same account posts after getting the alleged spinal fusion surgery in July 2023. He writes that within days he was able to sit up on his own, stand, and even walk just fine. Okay. He says, quote, the surgery was not nearly as scary as I made it out to be in my head, and I knew it was the right decision within a week.
So it sounds good in that moment?
Initially, but perhaps the surgery did not go as planned, because one of his close friends allegedly states the back surgery is what changed everything for him. He went absolutely crazy. They said he went off the grid. He did not talk to his family. He did not talk to his friends. Nothing. He was solo traveling. Some state that he was probably in Japan for a brief moment in time. His friends were trying to tweet at Luigi saying, are you okay? What's going on with you? They say, hey man, I need you to call me. I don't know if you're okay or just in a super isolated place and have no service, but I haven't heard from you in months. You made commitments to me for my wedding, and if you can't honor them, I need to know so I can plan accordingly.
Oh.
October 2024, another tweet. Hey, are you okay? Nobody has heard from you in months, and apparently your family is looking for you. November 26, 2024. Thinking of you and prayers every day in your name. Know that you are missed and loved. November 27th, 2024. They just keep at Luigi, his handle. One of Luigi's friends said that he sent him an x-ray of his back after surgery, and they said it looked heinous. It just giant screws going down his spine. And this new information has caused a lot of netizens to relate to Luigi's story. I feel like everybody knows someone or they themselves have been directly impacted with the torture system that is the healthcare system in the United States these days. But some netizens don't care. They say, this is not an excuse. I had the exact same surgery at 21. I am now 46 years old. I live my life in pain and I've had multiple surgeries since. And you know what I didn't do? Murder someone. To which one netizen responds, do you want a high five for that? Others point out that we're all on the same side. Did you not just read what you posted? They write, sounds to me like you've suffered needlessly and terribly at the hands of private insurance companies. I don't think you should be so self-congratulatory about not killing someone over it. Most people, of course, would not have the gall to throw their life away like that. But he did. Others comment, chronic pain can send someone off the deep end. It eats up the brain, the soul. I mean, really, I have been there. Another comments, when chronic pain is really bad, even just a week or two with no relief day in, day out, it's hard to even want to be alive. If his pain was that bad and he was in this state, I would imagine he decided to do something of consequence before he died. He could have been at the end of his rope, insinuating that he could have made the decision to self-exit by this point. Another writes, my dad has spondy, and when it first started, he turned into a person I barely recognized. The pain became so intense, he became bitter and threatening and upset. I get this. And remember how previously other netizens were saying, well, he's a coward for shooting Brian Thompson in the back. Some netizens point out that perhaps Luigi wasn't cowardly when he shot Brian Thompson in the back. They write, maybe it meant something. Regardless of Luigi's motive, Luigi has started what many netizens feel is a moment for class consciousness. I personally don't recall the last time so many netizens were united about something that is normally so divisive, which brings into the equation, what are Luigi's political ideologies? There have been debates on whether or not Luigi swings left or right, which there seems to be differing opinions, or maybe he himself is confused. He does consistently repost on Twitter famous podcasters and authors who typically have a more right-leaning audience. He also rated J.D. Vance's Hillbilly Elegy 3 stars, his book, which is not the worst rating, but considering he gave the Unabomber 4 stars, I'd say it's not a great thing. But he could be conservative and not a fan of the incoming administration. I don't really know. It's interesting that some netizens are trying so hard to figure out his political ideologies and see if he is in alignment with their own before deciding how to feel. I did see some point out, just for, I guess, being in depth, pointing out that there are red flags that he's read and rated biographies on Elon Musk, but he's also read the Hunger Games trilogy. So people are really confused because these two don't align. You know, Elon Musk, Hunger Games, they're not on the same page. He's also read The Little Prince. Some netizens cannot understand his political ideology based off his Goodreads account, believing there to be some green flags, some red flags. But one netizen comments, as an avid reader and librarian, I don't find his reading and ratings of some of these books as a red flag. I actually think it's really important to read things that are arguing oppositional views to your own. And some people are kind of losing the plot on this. One netizen comments that he rated Elon Musk's biography highly, so he is a red flag. Luigi is a red flag. To which someone responds, you can still appreciate something without agreeing with it. You can even give a book you disagree with high ratings if it gave you good insight into a new point of view or understanding that you, again, don't agree with. Others continue to argue, agree, but rating Elon Musk's 5 stars is a real red flag. He's wacky. To which someone responds, it was a biography of Musk, not a book written by him. You can dislike a person and still appreciate an author for a good biography. But then others point out that Luigi is very much into AI, so perhaps he is an Elon Musk fan. But some netizens also point out that he also seems to like Peter Thiel, and he has tweeted about him in recent years, which netizens don't like. Peter Thiel was a co-founder for PayPal. Interestingly, both Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are from the so-called dubbed PayPal mafia, which Elon Musk was fired from PayPal and replaced by Peter Thiel. So they're known to have a contentious love-hate relationship, but they both have very close ties to the incoming administration. Peter Thiel was allegedly the former mentor to J.D. Vance, the incoming VP. So their relationship is seemingly intertwined, and now people are calling into question, wait, whose side is Luigi on? But I will say, for this case, most netizens don't care. They don't care where he lies politically, at least not in relation to Luigi. They think regardless, this is a moment that we finally have to talk about healthcare, to open this meaningful dialogue. Do we really need it to be left versus right, when really what it is up versus down? It's who's at the top and who's being denied coverage and dying at the bottom. That's what it is. They're saying it doesn't matter your political affiliations. When there are massive healthcare insurance companies denying your claims, they don't ask you, hey, do you like this person or this party or this politicians or this tech founder who's doing some crazy things? Like, do you like this person or that person? They don't care. And they're saying that anyone that's trying to have that conversation is doing a disservice to all those Americans that are getting denied coverage. Other netizens have taken to just joking about it. They think the fact that he favorited the bullet journal is kind of funny. They comment he may have misunderstood what bullet journal means. Additionally, many netizens really like Luigi based off of his Reddit account. His other accounts have his name and likeness. So all of his friends and family, probably the administrators at UPenn, can see his LinkedIn, can see his Twitter, his Instagram if they really want. But his Reddit account was more or less anonymous, and the way that he speaks, comments, and interacts with netizens, there is not a single mean comment.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell what kind of person he is.
Yeah, they believe he's a decent guy. He would tell strangers on the internet, "You'll do great, whatever you decide. We can't be afraid to live our own lives to the fullest. Of course, always feel free to DM me if you have any questions in the future. Sorry, you're also a member of this shitty back club, but know that you'll be fine, whatever you decide." Or, "Surgery is scary, but the sooner you get past this, the better. Good luck with the neurosurgeon consult."
Did you see the Chinese girl?
Yes. Okay, so there was this Chinese post that went viral on Red, which is a Chinese social media app, and she was talking about how her friend was at the same Hawaii dorms that Luigi was in. And the post has been slightly mistranslated. It's come onto American social media stating that the girl was talking about how Luigi was so sweet. Everybody called him sweet. He was down to earth, very smart, very brilliant. And anytime he would eat ice cream from the communal freezer, he would replace it. So that was how it was translated. And it went viral in America. And people are saying that is so sweet because most people won't replace ice cream that they ever ate. But the truth of the Chinese post is actually much sweeter, because the post is her friend had just mentioned in passing, like, "Oh, I ran out of ice cream." And Luigi came with ice cream, and it was really well decorated. He took painter's tape, because I guess he didn't have ribbon lying around, because who has ribbon lying around? And he used the painter's tape to wrap it and do a little painter's tape
I just noticed
at the top. But some netizens don't agree, writing, "The guy pops out from behind a car and shoots someone who is defenseless in the back, killing him, and Reddit is over here saying, what a kind guy." I'm not sure kind is the right word to describe a killer who made generic supportive comments on Reddit. Another comment reads, "Yeah, he committed cold-blooded murder because of his overwhelming kindness." But a lot more people are supporting Luigi, even in the same facility that Luigi is being held in after his arrest. He's in Pennsylvania as of filming this. He's fighting the extradition to New York. If he goes to New York, he's going to be held at Rikers Island. But the inmates of that same compound, they're screaming out the window towards the reporters, "Luigi's conditions suck. Free Luigi."
Luigi's conditions suck. Free Luigi.
Which one netizen comment reads, "Inmates shouting free Luigi and not free us should tell you everything about that man." But this interview by News Nation is actually quite fascinating. I've never seen an interview conducted in this manner. They told inmates, because the inmates were watching their show, so they told them to watch at a certain time. The inmates have TVs in their cells. They turn on the news and they can see Ashley, the host, talking. Then they have another reporter outside the prison and they can see him too, and he can see the inmates capturing all of this, and they're screaming out the window, responding to the questions being asked on TV. They're asked if their dinner was good, yes or no, and they scream, "Terrible, it was terrible, that's BS," because they release what the inmates eat every day, and they say, "That's not what we're eating."
Oh, like fake food, fake photos?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like fake menus. The inmates later confide that they're getting punished for speaking with journalists.
If they can hear me right now, to answer yes or no, does Luigi have television in his single cell?
Yeah, this whole case is becoming more and more thick and crazy. So while inmates are allegedly getting punished for telling reporters to free Luigi, many security firms have stated that there's a lot of fear. Corporate leaders are now grappling with one critical question: how vulnerable are we? One security firm states companies that adapt quickly and take proactive steps to mitigate risks are not just protecting their executives, they're safeguarding their futures, such as Meta, that spends more than $24 million a year on security for its top executives. But for the major corporations that don't, they seem very nervous. Some top corporate security providers have reported a massive influx of calls from potential new clients. To put it simply, every C-suite executive at any major corporation now wants a bodyguard. Which, of course, netizens think is just dripping in bloody irony. Other netizens think it's slightly reasonable, considering new wanted posters have popped up here and there in New York City. Wanted posters for top healthcare CEOs. It shows Optum Health CEO, the CEO of United Health Group, Andrew Whitty, so Brian's bosses, and wanted posters with the now late Brian Thompson with a big red X over his face. The wanted posters read, "Wanted, denying medical care for corporate profit. Healthcare CEOs should not feel safe. United killed everyday people for the sake of profit. As a result, Brian Thompson was denied his claim to life. Who will be denied next? Deny, defend, depose." I will say, I guess subjectively this could be argued as being threatening, but I've never seen the NYPD so up in arms about something. The way they talk about these wanted posters is so bizarre. So outraged by these wanted posters, which again, I guess you could say they're not in good taste. But to be that enraged?
So ironic.
So ironic. If your ex-boyfriend made a wanted poster with your face, a regular civilian on there, posted them all over New York City, you probably wouldn't even be able to get a restraining order. The NYPD would be like, well, did he kill you yet? No. Did he commit a crime yet? No. Freedom of speech. Moving on. Next. Get out of our precinct.
Isn't that what some people are saying? Like they couldn't get them, like this ex-boyfriend's harassing me for years and they wouldn't do anything.
Nothing. And here they are just up in arms.
Yeah.
They only want to do their job when you're already in harm, when you're already hurt, when you're already unalived. But if it's someone else who has money, then they want to do their job. Like, where's the fairness? Well, I guess you have to get rich. Then the world is fair. Oh, wow.
About these wanted posters. So again, I think they're just making the situation worse. Alongside that are pictures on social media that are circulating of the salaries of the 8 biggest health insurance CEOs, along with their names and pictures, which is not illegal, by the way. These are publicly traded companies. They are required to release, I think, at least their CEOs and I think like a handful of their top executives, along with their salaries.
Yeah.
This is public information, but NYPD does not like it, stating this has the capability to inspire a variety of extremist and grievance-driven malicious actors to violence. It's clear the police are very upset, and the netizens have said, matter of fact, let's talk about you too then. The NYPD budget for 2024 is $6.3 billion of taxpayer money. They say, what are you doing?
NYPD alone is $6.3 billion?
NYPD. A year. 1 year.
That's insane. Wow.
Yeah, and now netizens are saying, what are you doing to solve regular, everyday people's murders, huh? Do you send scuba divers into the lakes at Central Park? Because that's our first time seeing that. Netizens also feel the way NYPD acts like they took a dangerous criminal off the streets before he potentially harmed normal people like you and I is goofy. The officer that arrested Luigi in Pennsylvania, his name is ironically Officer Fry, and Luigi was arrested at McDonald's, so people think the plot keeps getting thicker. He says, I can't say I was expecting it by any means, but it feels good to get a guy like that off the street, especially starting my career this way.
Officer Fry just started his career? That's crazy.
Which a lot of people believe highlights, again, how not in sync, out of touch, frankly. They're not saying risk your life and don't arrest people that need to be arrested, I guess, right? But they're saying, why make this statement? Say nothing. If you have, say nothing. They're saying the police, big corporations, mainstream media are so out of touch with public sentiment. Again, not saying that if someone is committing a crime, the police should do nothing about it. Just, I mean, there's got to be a better way for him to have said something about it without saying, yay, I might get a promotion so early on in my career. So, great. One netizen comment reads, the NYPD just proved they have the resources to solve any murder by catching Luigi Mangione. Interestingly enough, they only seem to care to deploy them when the victim is worth $50 million. But another comments, this has so much more to do with the embarrassment and scrutiny this brought onto the NYPD than his net worth. This happened in the open brazenly in Midtown Manhattan. If NYPD did not catch this guy, they would look really, really stupid. As for how they caught Luigi, it seems to be just a phone call from a McDonald's employee that some people call a rat. But the NYPD says a combination of old school detective work and new age technology is how we caught Luigi. The police commissioner continues, we should never underestimate the power of the public to be our eyes and ears. Now the case will continue through the criminal justice process, and while we are proud of today's accomplishment, we must of course remember that there is a family in mourning. People say it's just another reminder of class consciousness. One netizen comments, all the effort and resources to apprehend him. If any of us were murdered, they would have no leads. There's a video of Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, who is, I believe, still under investigation for his own corruption. He's calling Officer Fry from Pennsylvania, the one that arrested Luigi in McDonald's. Yes, and the mayor tells him, "We as New Yorkers appreciate it. You did a great job. You took a dangerous person off the streets. You're going to be the most popular police officer in your town."
I guess we found your guy.
Yes, we as New Yorkers, we appreciate it. You took a dangerous person off the street. We thank you so much. Well, you're gonna be the most popular police officer in your town.
And netizens said, "Okay, bet." And the police have been receiving threats for arresting Luigi. So I guess popular is subjective, right? Another disconnect between mainstream media and most netizens as well. Some netizens think mainstream media is overdoing the theatrics. Mainstream media writes that Luigi was a video game assassin. They write he once belonged to a group of gamers who played assassins in the video game. You scroll down, what's the video game, you ask? Among Us.
This is so dumb. This is so dumb.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. The McDonald's in which he has been arrested in has been flooded with one-star reviews. Some of them read, "McDonald's has a very big rat problem." More like "Narc-Donald's," like a narc. "Deny, defend, oppose, diarrhea McDonald's." Another comment reads, "I should have realized something was wrong when the person who took my order at this McDonald's had weird-looking whiskers. I didn't think much of it because I was hungry. But when I asked for cheese, they got really excited and their ears perked up. They're all a bunch of rats." Review, Rat 1, Humanity 0. This McDonald's is officially the worst place on earth. I walked in for a McChicken and what did I get? A front row seat to a Rat Olympics floor routine. A little demon sprinted across the dining room like it had unpaid rent. Frickin' rat. Why go here when Taco Bell is just across the way and they know how to keep their mouths shut? It's just a Ronin convention in there. A lot of people are really upset because technically there is no legal duty to report someone. If you think you see someone that resembles the guy that the authorities are looking for, you have no legal duty to report them. I mean, to be fair, you can't hide them in your home and get away with it. But if you just see something, you don't have to report it. So they're wondering, why did the rat from McDonald's, they say rat from McDonald's, call and report Luigi? On top of that, they think it's because, the $60,000 reward? Well, guess what? The real news is they might not even get it.
What do you
They
mean?
might not even get it.
Why?
So they call 911 instead of the tip line. And usually the government goes through so many hula hoops to try and not give you the reward money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, delay, deny, defend is what the United States will do.
I guess that's
Basically.
basically.
it. Yeah.
And it's like you have to wait until they're convicted. There's so many legal little hoops that you have to jump through. But one comment reads, if they get the money, whoever receives that money, I hope they use it for their health and still end up in debt due to denied claims. Then you have netizens posting pictures of Luigi and where he was the day of Brian Thompson's shooting. People have been photoshopping shirtless Luigi into their pictures, writing, "What a busy month it's been. Special thanks to Luigi for his help on December 4th from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. What a long shift to never leave our site, not even once to even use the restroom. Customers really enjoyed your catchphrase, Luigi. I'll never go to New York City, and the only thing I hate more than hoods on jackets is guns." Very weird thing to say constantly, all day long to the customers, but also very funny. Put on a shirt, you goof. Yeah. Other netizens think this whole thing is crazy. Some netizens are still not over the fact that there was a lookalike contest in Washington Square Park for the shooter, writing, "Our generation is so unserious. But in a way, aren't we all him? Imagine he was actually there and didn't win." Others had very fascinating ideas, writing, "Oh my God, this is literally what I was LOLing about last night. What if all the New Yorkers just cosplayed him indefinitely? The CEOs would be having nervous breakdowns."
Oh my God.
Others say during his trial we listen and we don't judge.
Oh, we judge.
Others didn't care for his lookalikes. They just cared for Luigi's looks, which fair points are made by some netizens. Objective attractiveness is objective attractiveness, I guess, okay? They comment, "He is only guilty of being hot." Another one reads, "Your Honor, my client Luigi Mangione is innocent. He was just demonstrating the true power of having looks that could kill. The only thing criminal is his bone structure." Another comment reads, good luck finding 12 jurors that don't want to fuck him. Yeah. Others believe that Luigi could be on the stand testifying and they would just hear blah, blah, blah. Whatever you say, handsome. Yeah. And another comment reads, my only question is, does he have a GoFundMe? Which there have been funds popping up here and there, but I will say I don't think Luigi will be using them. He does have 2 attorneys representing him already, and they are paid for. We don't know who's paying them, likely his family. I can't 100% verify this, but it appears he might have been streaming the song Criminal by Britney Spears prior to his arrest.
Really?
Which would be not fantastic, NYPD. Be deplorable, NYPD, if you are listening to this. We should actually have a whole press conference about it. Other netizens point out things they find ironic or funny about this case, which nothing is funny about this case, NYPD. But they write, I think Luigi Mangione rating the Unabomber's manifesto a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads is so funny to me. It's like, yeah, that was pretty good, but like I could do better. One slightly unhinged, but I guess understandable netizen writes, currently consulting with an Etsy witch to get you out of this. Be strong, Luigi.
I just think it's so fascinating that, you know, this is the public reaction, right? It's so insightful. I think it says a lot. You know, it's a lot to be studied.
Yes, so much to be studied. And what is to be studied is the healthcare industry. So what's very fascinating and truly angering for a lot of people is even with this debate, I will say the people making the memes and editing Luigi, it's definitely a smaller group of slightly more extreme, you know, people. I wouldn't even call them extreme, just funnier people, I guess, right? But the generic public is, I'm not going to be sad about it. I'm not going to be sad about Brian Thompson's murder. And we should have these conversations about healthcare. Now, mainstream media is just picking.
I think that's where I lie also. I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, if I'm gonna be sad about, I don't know the guy personally, and I'm gonna like be in a sad mood for somebody I don't know who is a horrible person who could have done better. So,
Murder. And we should have these conversations about healthcare.
and we
Now,
should have this
mainstream media
conversation.
is just picking from these memes, posting them on their little TV channels, and saying things like, you know, the system is broken. We can all agree on that. But murder is wrong. And they're so focused on the reaction of netizens that all they have to say about healthcare is the system is broken and we can all agree on that. Why don't you talk about how the system is broken? Why don't you talk about anything else?
Yeah.
It's so goofy. No one believes you if you say stuff like that. Other netizens are just shocked and left rethinking their standing on this. They comment, okay, the CEO assassin is actually finer than I thought. Like, they could never make me hate him. So what now? Luigi has been charged with forgery, carrying a gun without a license, false identification to law enforcement authorities, and with tampering in Pennsylvania. Prosecutors have filed murder charges as well as other charges against him in Manhattan. He is fighting his extradition to New York City. Side note, there were a series of released mugshots of Luigi. One of them appears that he has urinated on himself. And some people were making fun of him, saying like, there's no way he's the CEO assassin when he peed himself when he got arrested. He's baby. But a lot of netizens who have dealt with chronic back pain and spondy and spinal fusion surgery, they say that for about 2 years, you cannot hold in your pee. And it's actually a really big part of chronic back pain that nobody talks about, because as an adult, you're expected to do certain things, and it really does break your own identity, and it is humiliating. When you feel like you have to pee, you can no longer hold it like any other adult. You have to use the restroom right now. You cannot hold your urine. And they believe that the police would not let him use the restroom, and he peed himself. And some netizens were actually pointing out, police have allegedly done this before, where if they really don't like a suspect, they'll try to get you to beg for things. They want to humiliate you. So they might have tried to get Luigi to beg them to use the restroom, and he might have decided he'd rather urinate himself. I think it was you that pointed this out, because we were talking about it over dinner, and you were saying he does hold his chin up high in that specific photo.
Yeah.
So it
The
might
photos, like, you can tell his energy.
high in that specific. Talking about it over dinner.
Is the picture also at a urinal? I
And
mean, like
they're
a
saying he does.
bathroom? Is this his cell or something? Because like you can see the bathroom. I mean the toilet there. I think.
Does hold his chin up high in that specific photo.
Yeah.
So it
the
might.
photos, like, you can tell his energy. Like,
I'm not going to
yeah.
beg, and I'm not going to. So, again, we could be speculating and we could be wrong, but something to note. During Luigi's first court appearance, it's been reported that, quote, prosecutors tried to highlight the $10,000, the $8,000 in USD, the $2,000 in foreign currency that was found on him. Also, they said that he had a Faraday bag, which blocks electronic signals. The prosecutors suggest criminal sophistication with what was found on his body. Apparently, Luigi added during his first court hearing, this is when he didn't have an attorney, he said, I'd like to correct two things. First, I don't know where any of that money came from. I'm not sure if it was planted. And also, that bag is waterproof, so I don't know about criminal sophistication. Then during his next hearing, he's heard yelling while the cops slam him up against the wall. This is completely unjust and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and their lived experience.
And it's completely out of touch, and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and its lived experience.
Which has opened the door to more conversations about the mainstream media coverage versus social media coverage. Mainstream media reports this as a violent outburst. They're almost framing him as this maniac. Some netizens have even stated, people are making jokes about this, but be prepared for the media to hand-select photos that make him look as deranged as possible, which they've already started doing. They have started using a screenshot of him screaming where it looks like he's almost snarling at people.
Yeah.
Mainstream media also has reported that, quote, thanks to the hero McDonald's worker, that a dangerous criminal is behind bars. Yeah, and they say this is the same mainstream media that believe McDonald's workers don't deserve a living wage. Suddenly they're heroes to them. Another mainstream media host actually wished Luigi to die in prison. He has been denied bond at his arraignment, and his family, Luigi's family, has made a statement saying, unfortunately, we cannot comment on news reports regarding Luigi Mangione. We only know what we have read in the media. Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. We offer our prayers to the family of Brian Thompson, and we ask people to pray for all involved. We are devastated by this news. In Pennsylvania, Luigi is represented by Tom Dickey, one of the few attorneys in Pennsylvania that's qualified to do death penalty cases. Not that this is a death penalty case as of right now. It wouldn't even be in Pennsylvania, but just to show he's a very qualified attorney. When asked if the so-called manifesto is enough evidence for the police, Luigi's attorney states, I know you can't tell, but I'm 5'6". But I could write on a piece of paper that I'm 6'5" and all other kinds of stuff. Yeah. So he's saying you can write whatever you want on a piece of paper. How is that evidence?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people really like his attorney because the way he's just so blunt, for lack of a better words. Yeah. And he seems like he's having a good time with the media. As for evidence, he says he has seen no evidence against his client. He holds up both of his hands like he's trying to catch a ball. And he says, look, zoom in. This is all the evidence I've seen.
You can look on this table, and here's all the evidence I have right here, guys. So zoom in, I suppose you want to it. Nothing.
He also admits when asked that, yes, according to his staff, people are reaching out to him, trying to offer to help to pay Luigi's legal bills. CNN straight up asks him, why do you think people are offering to help pay his legal fees? He responds, the Supreme Court says all these rich billionaires can give all kinds of money to candidates, and that's free speech. So maybe these people are just exercising their right to free speech and saying that's the way they're supporting my client, which kind of shuts CNN up pretty quickly. So that's his attorney in Pennsylvania. Recently, he just retained another attorney in New York who, interesting, has a connection to another case that we've been working on. She is the wife of his first name, Mark, I believe, Mark Agnifilo. He's representing Diddy. And she's going to be representing Luigi Mangione. She is actually very well established. She's the legal counsel for the Law and Order show. She's the consultant to make sure that everything makes sense in the legal world. She's done a lot of good work, and she will be representing Luigi now. High-profile attorney, very well connected, which is usually helpful.
Interesting.
Now, Luigi's friends have come out of the woodworks to talk about him. Obviously, many people are speaking about his back surgery and the potential debilitating chronic pain he suffered from. But some people, most of them, are just talking about how nice he is. I haven't seen a single weird thing about Luigi yet. And they're all just surprised. They say even when we had conversations about capitalism and all these things, Luigi never seemed like someone who had an axe to grind. He was always very calm and chill. He was the leader of a lot of clubs. To which someone comments, in the club, we're all crying for Luigi. But one netizen comments, it's truly a testament to his character that even after becoming a suspect to a high-profile murder case, everyone that he knows and has interacted with has nothing but good things to say about him. And the crazy thing is, if you watch these interviews of mainstream media interviewing his friends, they're trying to trip the friends up, like asking, like, are you sure he didn't say anything crazy? Are you sure he never acted a certain way? All of them are so steadfast, like, no, he was like the sweetest guy ever. And then within 3 minutes, they end the segment because I guess it's not entertaining. They're not getting what they want, which is someone to hate Luigi. So I will leave you with the last remaining public sentiments I could find. Some people think that Luigi is evil, especially now that he has been arrested, his Goodreads account has been revealed, and all of these other things. And they write, great big round of applause for the law enforcement personnel who resolved this so quickly. Anyone who elevates this man as a hero is ignorant. Imagine a world where supposed vigilantes are heroes. You would be the next victim. Most netizens comment, sorry, I don't make enough to be the next victim. Or simply, why would I be the next victim? I'm not killing people by denying them insurance that they paid for. Another netizen states, those hailing him as a hero must confront the chilling reality. He took the life of an unarmed human being in cold blood with the victim's back turned, a deliberate and cowardly act. Other netizens are more focused on the potential hypocrisy of the incident, writing, you hate capitalism, yet you come from a wealthy family? Another person comments, nobody cares. He wasn't trying to stop World War III. He pulled a trigger premeditated on a man for financial reasons. We shouldn't give him a platform. There is no rightful advocating for violence. Fuck him. Another writes, he is no hero and he is not God and he doesn't get to decide who gets to live. To which someone comments, neither can insurance companies. Heart. They comment back, and that's your justification for murder? What the fuck is wrong with you? What this man did was very sad, and he literally just ruined his whole life, okay? He could have used his privilege to help so many other people, but he was at the end of his rope. Or it's turned into a conversation about women loving criminals. Which, to be fair, I think there is a genuine case of it being alarming and hazardous to society, more so when people believe that they can change full-blown sadistic serial killers or think that a criminal is less guilty because he has badly done face tattoos. Yes, I do think it's alarming. However, I don't know if this is the most fitting case for that sentiment, but a bunch of men have taken upon themselves to say things like, oh, women love saying, I hate men because they're dangerous, but I love Luigi Mangione. Writing, Luigi Mangione has showed us the dark nature of females once again. Which is such an odd take when there is meaningful conversations to be had, but go off, Tiny King. They also write, these people, they need years of therapy. To which a lot of girly pops have responded in the comments, I mean, yeah, but they won't cover it, so here we are. One Reddit post has been getting a lot of traction this week. The title is, I'm disgusted to see how many people in America are okay with murder. And the body reads, I'm sorry, but I will never be okay with the killing of 60,000 Americans per year due to being uninsured or underinsured and not seeking medical care because of it. I will never be okay with American citizens committing self-exit due to being unable to pay medical bills. I will never be okay with the insurance industry in the US denying health insurance to sick and injured people because they want to maximize profits. Murder is wrong, that is all. To which the top comment is, murder is wrong, but if done through a corporation on a massive scale using tons of paperwork, well then, it's just a business, isn't it? But the general sentiment being, none of this has anything to do with Luigi or Brian Thompson. They write, I will be praying for the families of those who were denied services and suffered financial disaster, and those who lost loved ones because of needed services being denied. It's not about how attractive Luigi Mangione is. It's not about how awful the murder of Brian Thompson is. This is the true discourse we should be having. To which one netizen hesitantly responds, unfortunately, I don't think this guy is going to survive prison. I'm sure the elites want this guy permanently done. Others are considering nicknames for Luigi Mangione. Robin Hood, the Riddler, the Claims Adjuster, but some argue the defendant, murderer, killer. I guess the more fitting nickname depends on who you ask. And that is the current ongoing case of Luigi Mangione and the murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, which again, Luigi is innocent until proven guilty, just like anybody else in the system. But what are your thoughts on this case? Let me know in the comments, and please stay safe.
Do we know any more details to this? Like, has there been anything else? Um, because my feelings towards Luigi is not necessarily like I don't hate the guy, I don't like the guy either. I'm just kind of like very neutral, very, very neutral. I don't know why. Because sometimes I feel sympathy for people, but in this case I don't know where my heart and head is. I mean, obviously I hate the fact that the healthcare is Bolshevinkos and they are definitely called murderers, like yes they are. And it's just evil, people in power, people with money, not all of them obviously, but just so that they can extract little more out of people, they deny them of claims is crazy to me. Like, can we come up with a better system that can help people, right? Can we stop thinking about our pockets, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're 6 feet underground, you're not gonna spend those money that you've stolen from sick people. At the end of the day, you're gonna both end up there. I don't know. Like, obviously, I'm not pro going around and wrapping people. But at the same time, in this circumstance, I'm not against the action too, but I'm not pro going doing that as well. So that's where I stand right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's a touchy conversation, touchy, like, not the healthcare situation, not the scam of the healthcare system. That is not a touchy subject. It's more of like it's a very needed conversation. But the subject of where you stand, your views in this circumstance is very, very touchy. Um, I don't think you should have a it shouldn't be like, oh, you have to have a, like, you need to choose a side or pick a side. I guess everybody has their own free will. Do you, boo boo, right? um so yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.